There we go.
Captain, how you doing, sir? Oh,
There we
I see
go.
you. There you are.
Sorry about that.
And
Mental health business is keeping me busy, so
the mental health business is keeping you busy. I
yes,
can
sir.
imagine. Well, the doctor and I have been convening in anticipation of your presence. But one of the things that we wanted to do is get some kind of an awareness of how your whole process has evolved,
Okay.
how that whole program came into place, because I actually have a demand for people who desire to implement solutions like this.
Okay.
And based on the doctor's experience, he's been doing this for 20 years, and he has a couple of universities where they actually have a stress relief center. So I wanted to engage in this conversation because I believe it's priceless in terms of us identifying what has to happen in order to implement a similar solution in other locations. Can you just elaborate for a second for us?
So you talk about our war room and kind of what all we've done,
Yes,
or what the
as
broader?
far as how did that whole process come about? So I admire I admire the war room. I also admire the collective mindset that your officers have demonstrated in terms of saying we need to do something about our own wellness. So
Yeah.
give us your take on it. And I wanted the doctor to jump in, but I wanted to get a feel for what you have going and how can we implement something similar in other locations.
Okay. So short version of it, we've had our current wellness program for about 8 or 9 years. Our current chief assigned me over it when he was the assistant chief in patrol. So I've had a piece of this since sort of the beginning. And our program is sort of based around peer supported wellness. So we have a lot of peer support team members in our peer support team and our critical incident stress management team. We also work with a lot of area providers for us, one of our biggest universities is Baylor of Dallas. And
Really?
and so one of our chief and one of my closest friends is the lead trauma surgeon there, the lead trauma psychologist there, and their trauma researcher. And so we work with them a lot to develop the sort of ground level what we do. The other two sort of blessings we have a really strong police association, which is kind of our on the ground, kind of the union sort of group for other parts of the area.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Mm-hmm.
have a group that you worked with quite a bit, which is the Never Walk Alone Foundation.
Right.
The Never Walk Alone Foundation is really a financial support program for all of our first responders actually throughout the region. Ironically, the Never Walk Alone was built around a single officer that was struggling with cancer. They
Okay.
realized those sort of individual financial burdens are really challenging. That made an easy transition for me because he was a psychology instructor through UT Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and he would teach. He actually was on our peer support team, and sadly, he actually took his own life 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Never Walk Alone, the one who didn't walk alone, actually tragically was him. Originally from
Mm-hmm.
his struggles with cancer, led to a lot of other things. So mental health was kind of a big thing. Our chief said that last summer that not so much it won't happen again. That's not realistic, but we're going to do whatever it takes, whatever that sort of means. And he kind of gave us a blank check.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing is that you've met Officer Kemple, you've met Officer
Yeah.
Gibson. We really talked
Mm-hmm.
about what are we not doing, and we kind of tore down a lot of our programs. Like, okay, from a physical injury standpoint, we are really highly trained to deal with violent threats.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting range where you learn how to shoot your weapons. We have a physical training room where you sort of build up the body. We have a defensive tactics area where a lot of guys focus on wrestling and mixed martial arts and boxing to defend against that. I'm wearing my vest now. We have a driving track for those things, but we don't do a lot of the mental health things.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
question was, what can we build for that? And our traditions have always been iron therapy. The most of our guys like to go lift and sort of
Okay.
work.
Yeah.
So, okay, we support that one really well. We have a very functional
Mm-hmm.
gym. I'm probably the only yoga guy we have here, but all those sort of happen. But we don't really have a room to sort of bring the temperature down.
Mm-hmm.
And so the war room kind of came up with, okay, let's just build space. And
Mm-hmm.
the war room ended up being this really cool acronym for wellness and recovery because they were really focusing on the sort of recovery standpoint. And we added in wellness as a reminder that, hey, this isn't like you go, no offense to Dr. Olpin, but I don't go see the doctor only when I'm hurt. I want to try to prevent as much as I can,
Right.
build
Right.
myself up. So the wellness actually, the original room, I don't think you even know this, was the raw room. It was recovery and wellness. And we actually inverted it to give wellness the primary focus. And actually makes a better acronym for the paramilitary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that was
Uh,
a room. Then it was more of what do you put in the room? And then it
that's
was,
my question. How did you
yes,
come up with those solutions? Because, I know that since the doctor has been doing this for over 20 years,
yeah,
that he's tried and errored and tried and come up with different solutions. But I also know that Dr. Officer Kemple has background in terms of
it
fitness,
does.
in terms of like athletic training. But
Yeah.
what did you draw from to determine what was going to be in that space and what was going to be the best solution for these
Yeah.
officers?
So Officer Kimball's background was through SMU as a trainer with a lot of athletes up there. One of our other premier wellness programs is a program called First, which is up in Frisco, Texas. They're co-located at the Star, which is the Dallas Cowboys training facility.
Hmm.
And so a program called Sports Academy, which is actually at the Star, they are elite athletic recovery training programs. And we happened to fall into a blessing. One of their managers, his wife is a psychologist who they all moved here to Dallas together. And she's a former police psychologist, and she built a
Mm,
program for first responder wellness and training. And so we kept going up there to see her facility. And it's like, man, that's really neat. But I want the home version of that because
mm-hmm,
going to their gym, while it's impressive, it's about 45 minutes away. But it
mm.
is the same training. Their facility also serves the Dallas Mavericks developmental
Really?
team. So we were seeing people that had high stress levels, physically demanding jobs, and we'd spent the last several years talking about what are the parallels. And it was painful to have them break down the role of a police officer and then ask me certain aspects of, okay, their bread and butter was the Cowboys at the time, and she's actually now the
Mm-hmm,
chief psychologist for the Dallas Cowboys.
mm-hmm.
Please don't blame her for their performance in the playoffs. Um, but we were trying to figure out what are the demands to a first responder, and so one of the really neat parallels we had was like an NFL kickoff. And so the idea is you grab a football in space, you run after somebody, you're trying not to get hit, you're trying to avoid impacts. You're going to get some impacts. You run 100 yards, you're out of breath, you've got a lot of physical contact, and your goal is to sort of get a football into the end zone,
Mm-hmm.
short burst. And we started comparing it to a foot chase. So not a foot chase where you're shooting. This is more of an
Mm-hmm.
unarmed man running away from you.
Right.
So massive sprints. He turns, you turn. He jumps, you jump until you get there. Maybe you have a small fight at the end, and you handcuff him. And we had these really great conversations about what happens next. And I was like, so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if you're an NFL athlete, you get to the end, we'll give you some protein, we'll give you some water, let you hydrate. You're going to set the next play out. If you're hot, we'll make you cold. Cold, you make you hot. We'll try to do that. And they said, what do you guys do? It's like, well, that guy goes in a squad car and I take him to jail. They're like, yeah, but you take the next hour off? It's like, no, I write a report and sit in a chair. And then I do it again.
Hmm.
And I might do it again.
Oh,
And they're like, yeah, but tomorrow's film day, right? It's like,
yeah.
no, tomorrow's the same day it was before. They sort of repeat. And so we started doing some assessments on hips, hamstrings, lower back, and sort of the physical aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite ones, they kind of told us that if you're going to go to a 0 to 100 sprint, you're going to go from minimal effort or no effort to maximum effort. The worst starting position isn't laying down. It's not prone or on your stomach. It's literally sitting back in a squat car. Your sort of
Mm,
hamstrings and lower back are
mm,
compressed as much as humanly possible.
mm.
And now you're going to make them explode. They're like,
Wow.
which is why your hamstrings are jacked up. And I can't quite do it here, but they kept accusing me of having the good guy slouch that we kind of discovered. We have
Uh-huh.
these training programs with first responders, cops, and firefighters, but we also do this shift.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you do the cool shift.
Yeah.
Because I'm cool. I'm grabbing my gun. It makes me look like, some sort of old West cowboy. And they're like, no, you're doing this because your shoulders are getting tight. Your lower back is tightened up because you're wearing a vest.
Oh,
And you
man.
guys, and we would watch in groups and you watch everybody do it.
Wow.
So it was the interesting thing about what the physical side is. So when you get Officer Kemple in play about what he brought from the training standpoint, we thought,
Mhm.
let's merge them together. The physical aspect is the easiest to sort of understand. Everybody knows what pain feels like and what tightness feels like. So we brought in what's the easiest things we can do, put it in a room to let people sort of experience the physical side. And while they're doing that, even down to the Larocco chairs, like, okay, we're going to start impacting certain parts of the body and
Mhm.
give you relief, maybe. But while you're there, you're also not doing anything else.
Right.
We don't put a TV in the room. We don't put
Mhm.
newspapers or magazine subscriptions. So if nothing else, you've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes of really not doing anything else. And we've noticed for that, especially in our room, we dropped the lights. We had some sound to bring all of it down. So now, even if you want to stay up here, it's really hard to stay up. And so
Mhm.
you bring this down. So then we get to the sort of, even if I'm just unplugging mentally by not being stimulated for 30
Right.
minutes,
Mhm.
that's a huge impact for bringing me down for whatever. And then for me, I've been experimenting. It's interesting. It helps me on the front end too. So
What do you mean?
I come into work at 7 o'clock. My shift really begins at 8.
Mhm.
I'll go and I'll work the chair in the morning. So I sort of kind of not really juice myself up, but I go from sleeping and breakfast to working my way
Hmm.
before the day starts.
Right.
It's a good
Right.
impact to me throughout the day. I've also done it in reverse. You have kind of a rough day. You kind of do that to bring
Hmm.
it down. And it's an interesting experiment. I haven't quite figured out which one I like better.
Hmm.
The idea behind y'all's chair, just because we're talking about Morocco stuff, the feedback is y'all's chair is the best toy we have in the room, for lack of a better word.
Really.
The thing I like about it the most, and this is going to sound horrible, is that cops are pretty simple creatures. We like stuff that's really easy. And there's
Yeah.
a button. You push the button and you're doing it.
That's it. That's it.
Um,
Dude, so what we're endeavoring to do is to be able to it's really informative. The information that you share, aspects that nobody, no, I never thought of. Maybe the doctor has thought of it, but to realize that you've gone through methodically to dissect what is actually happening and what we need to do in order to create a greater well-being. For me, that's huge. That's
yeah.
huge because what I'm discovering, because I'm calling police departments across the country, I'm
Mhm.
discovering that more and more police departments are implementing wellness units.
Right.
So they have somebody in charge of saying, we need to address the mental and physical well being. So ultimately, I want to be able to engage with other locations, but I want to have that knowledge base that you just shared, that
Mhm.
information to help them understand why is this relevant? Why
Yeah.
does it fit to? Can you give us some background about what you've discovered, Doctor, in terms of how you came about creating that stress relief center and why it multiplied in terms of other locations implementing similar solutions?
Well, sure. Um, nice to meet you, Captain.
Sure.
You,
To be fair, you've been on
oh,
my list to come get you for a while because I think you met with Officer Gibson and Officer Kemple.
yes,
Spoke very
yes.
highly of you. So,
Oh, well, thank you. And you can just call me Mike. I'm just a normal guy. And um, but I think the thing that has been the most profound for what we've done here, and we've used the Luraco chairs. We have a whole bunch of other tools and toys that we've used just in this university stress relief center is what we call it. I like War Room. I think that's a cool name. Um, the thing that I think has been the most valuable for us is we've been keeping pretty good data. When somebody comes in, we assess them for blood pressure, heart rate, stress markers, blood pressure, heart rate, stress levels on like a scale from 1 to 10, and pain levels, stress related pain.
okay.
And then we have them do whatever it is they do. And the average time that people are in there, I mean, we keep tabs on how long they are on the various devices. And it's anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes, more leaning toward about 25 minutes. But so we assess them and then they do what they do and then we assess them again.
Okay.
The numbers have just been astronomically strong for reduction in all of those numbers. I mean, normalizing of blood pressure, reduction of heart rate, reduction of pain and stress levels, and to the point where we actually got them published in one was in an international journal supporting this idea of the need for having a place where people can come and unwind. And I'm all in with you with the idea of prevention. I think that is should be first and foremost. How do you prevent the escalation of the stress response? But we also have to have the need for we also have the need for the reduction of stress. And so far, uh, we've tried a whole bunch of different things through the years, and we've kind of narrowed it down to 5 or 6 tools that seem to work. And our population it's college students, college staff, college faculty, and community members come in. So it's a little bit wider than your population, but it's also similar in that it's adults who are it's not just the 19 to 22-year-olds
Mm-hmm.
who are using the
Mm-hmm.
tools and toys. So um but I am absolutely fascinated by what um the background and the kind of what's the right word? Tooling it to make sure you're doing the best thing for those for your people. I would love to learn more about what you're doing.
So let me cheat. And Robert, I hate if I'm jumping out of class. Let me know.
Go
So
ahead.
Mike, is there a way I can get a copy of the paper y'all got?
Oh, easy. Yeah, I can. You're talking about the article that we
Yeah,
published?
whatever.
Yeah.
Because the guys kept gushing over the data you guys had, and so the vitality swing came directly from me. I don't know if y'all even know we have one, or the chi swing or whatever it's called. The official title is, but so the sort of the path we've had, and this is sort of my philosophy, is much more of like a buffet style philosophy. That if all three of us go to a buffet and I like the chicken, and I tell you, hey, let's try the chicken. Well, maybe you like it too, and that's great, and you get what you want. But maybe you hate chicken, or maybe the chicken is just bad that day, or whatever else, or maybe you and I have different tastes. So we've really been going as broad as we can. So my sort of philosophy here has been, hey, try the chicken. If you don't like the chicken, maybe try the steak. And the steak is literally one chair over. And so it's been interesting to me. It's like between the Lorocco chair we have 4 sets of the Normatec compression sleeves for the legs. We've got the shoulder compression as well. We have a focal wall that you can sort of just stare at. We have another branded massage chair. It was a local provider actually had one too, and they just donated it to me too. I don't even, I've told Robert this. It's not a bad chair, but even the guys who brought it said, yeah, the Lorocco one is the Cadillac.
Yeah.
This is the one you do when someone else is in the Lorocco chair. And literally the guys, and they're right. It does a little bit different things on the forearms, but that's about it. But it looks like a little egg thing, and it's intimidating. And most of the guys are like, hey, I don't have a degree in physiology or computer programmer. And I've had to tell them, like, just hit this button, versus the Lorocco chair, which is kind of like I said, the Cadillac version, and it's a touch and go. We added in a PEMF mat that does infrared and some heat.
Oh, good. Yeah, we have that too.
The good thing about that one is that is the most placebo-driven thing I've ever seen, because I found a guy laying on. He took his boots, belt, and vest off and laid on it for like 15 minutes. Wow. And I was in y'all's chair. He was on the ground, and he's like, "Sir, this is the greatest thing ever. I feel so relaxed. Thanks for doing this." Like, man, that's cool. Anyway, the power button's on the left. He was literally just laying on the ground for 15 minutes, but it got this big feedback to me going, hey, he's committed 15 minutes. And it's like, and so I don't know if Robert knows this. So my background is in human development. That's what my degree is in, and developmental psych. And so for police officer in particular, I'm a big fan of cheap. Placebo is cheap typically.
Yeah.
So if you lay down on a mat for 15 minutes and do nothing, it's really hard to say that's going to muck you up. Years ago, a friend of mine who ends up practicing in Florida, she and I would do this experiment with, and I convinced the guys, like, I want you to stare at this white piece of paper for 5 minutes. And he would go, why am I staring at it? It's like, you're staring because I told you to. Just staring at a white piece of paper.
Yeah.
But by the way, no therapeutic value in staring at a white piece of paper. But what I was telling him about is like, no, but you did 5 minutes dedicated to your mental health. And you're just going to mentally rehearse in your head that I'm doing it for our mental health. And by definition, it brings your heart rate down, brings your blood pressure down. It's not super effective, and it's really crude, but it worked. And so I've been telling guys, like my buffet style, carve out time, even if it's stupid. If you want to go play video games for 5 minutes, try doing it with your focus being on my own mental health. Maybe you do a war game, you kill a whole bunch of Nazis or whatever you do, but do it for mental health. It's interesting, by if that's your sort of overall goal, it sort of works almost no matter what you do. And so the vitality swing is my favorite one, because it's and I think it's the vitality swing is what they call it. It's a chi swing. It's the one that sort of shakes side to side where you lay down.
Oh yeah, we have that too. We call it the chi machine.
Yeah. So Skylar bought one like the day he met you.
Oh, he did?
And we're like, okay, what are we gonna do with this? And it was funny watching guys. This is a whole bunch of adults, a lot of type A adults. You can imagine the way they would re-describe a swing or some sort of moving, vibrating machine.
Yeah.
And it's still one of the more embarrassing ones, because most of the guys, it's weird. It is an extremely vulnerable position for the guys to be laying down with the machine play. It just is. But all the guys that use it like it. And so I've been trying to tell guys, like, okay, go in there, try this one this week, this one this week, this one this week, and work your way around the room, or try to figure out which ones work best when. And What's been really neat to me about it is you've got some guys who I'm never going to do the chi swing because it's embarrassing. I don't
Mhm.
wanna be, I want my stuff jiggling around or whatever.
Mhm.
The other guy's looking at me, but they'll do it in private. And that's okay.
Mhm.
We have
Mhm.
other guys that go in there, like me and two of the guys, we'll go side to side. And then remember, this room is quiet. It's somber,
Mhm.
soft music. We turn the lights up and play on our phone all morning long because we're cutting up email and talking about stuff.
Mhm.
And so it's interesting. It's like, oh, wait a second, it's quiet time. Let's turn the lights down. And
Mhm.
mine is I'll listen to my headphones and watch like the nightly news
Mhm.
just because I can sort of get caught up on my stuff. But I have my headphones on. You can't disturb me if you try. And
Mhm.
to be fair, I do my yoga while the rookies are running because I
Mhm.
get to listen to them getting yelled at. So it's kind of a good check for me of how well can I focus. And these
Yeah.
guys are getting yelled at for being too slow. And if I
Yeah.
can focus, it's a good test. But we had this sort of buffet style where it's like you can kind of do all of them. And you also, it's really hard to get bored because if, man, I've done, most people don't do the same thing every day. You
Mhm.
try something new tomorrow, try something different, maybe shake it up. And I'm just a big advocate for if you just stare at the wall for 5 minutes, that's something you didn't do yesterday that has its own value. So
Mhm.
it's encouraging to let guys sort of try it out. The one thing that's neat to me is I did a survey of our personnel,
Mm.
and about 10% actually filled it out, which is great. I mean, it's not statistically significant, but it's not bad for a
Mhm.
department. And there's 60 people that filled it out, only 75% actually used the room,
Mhm.
which is kind of disappointing. But you're like, yeah, but the rest of them all complained about it, about how
Mhm.
we needed a room, or
Mhm.
why don't I have a room? I work somewhere else.
Mhm.
So those are all fair. So it definitely, I got what I wanted to know. Is like, hey, there's a need for this program, even if you don't participate in it.
Right, right. I
And then
I've got a
most,
question. I've got a
yeah,
question. Is there a continuing education requirement for people in law?
yes. So we have
How does that work?
so TCOL is our require. It's every 2 years, and it's a biennium. You have to have 40 hours of training, and so typically it's going to be recertification on new laws when they change. A
Mhm.
couple of years ago, there was a big thing about officers shooting dogs. That was just a thing. So the SPCA and some other folks put some training, but maybe you don't shoot all the dogs. So you
Mhm.
have some of these. The best way I can describe it is more politically minded, and these are all set by the state legislature. Where they'll sort of say, "Hey, we want
Okay.
all officers to be trained on this. This current biennium is, and it'll continue. We want officers to have 2 hours on school shootings after the Uvalde issues, and so we have to go train on how to respond to that." As
Mhm.
a horrible coincidence, we have one now. It's on wellness. It's a 4 hour block, literally called Finding Wellness, and I teach it for
Really?
us. And
Really?
it is a challenging block because the opening part is just describing wellness to a bunch of cops, and they're already cops now. And you
Mhm.
spend a lot of they built it around. Let's talk about anxiety. Let's talk about depression, moral injury, compassion fatigue, and that sort of thing. And it's really built to sort of let you self-diagnose. And while
Mhm.
that's impressive, I'm not discounting that because I teach it. I'm not teaching you to be a counselor.
Mhm.
What I want you to do is recognize when the body's not working right, when the brain's not
Mhm.
working right, when the emotions aren't working right. I don't care if you call it depression, moral injury, or something else.
Mhm.
I don't care. My job is then to deal with it. And so what's funny is I re-edited most of our program to where we go through that part I just talked about relatively efficiently is the best way I'll describe it.
Mhm.
The last part is an hour on what we do here in Garland. So that if you realize, hey, things aren't working like they should, I don't care what you describe it as because just like if your elbow wasn't working, I would
Mhm.
assume you go talk to a physician and tell him, hey, my elbow isn't working right. Whether or not
Yeah.
you self-diagnose what's torn, broken, twisted, or not there doesn't really
Mhm.
matter because you'll have a professional tell you how to fix it.
Right, right, right. So
And
do
so, like,
you only do Garland or do you
yes,
do other municipalities?
ours is just for Garland. And so the curriculum is set by the state. And so every officer in the state of Texas is going to get this 4 to 8 hour block on wellness. And hopefully they all mirror what we did, where you take some of it on general wellness, then you carve out a section for what are you doing in your own town. So that like I
Mm.
spend a lot of time with my guys going, here's how to use different things. Uh,
Mhm.
Not so much to self-diagnose what's going on, but to give you the ability to maybe mitigate problems, identify them early on. And if you have a particularly bad day, what can you do about that? Even down to how do you discuss that with the spouse?
Mhm.
How do you talk to about it with me? How do you talk to it with the professional? However you want to deal with that. Uh,
We had a meeting here last week, meal and massage meeting for Arlington seniors. Probably about 40 people were here. The chief of police for the city was here,
wow.
and we are talking about the implementation of this solution for the city of Arlington as well.
Right.
But the thought of you having a model of stuff that has been thoroughly researched. I mean, you guys, I didn't know y'all didn't randomly put that stuff together, man. I mean, you've gone through some extent to determine what is going to work to help our people. So in having that conversation, one of my objectives is to establish a pattern. Okay, this, and you're not listening to Robert Nelson. You are listening to people who are in the trenches with it, that understand the ramifications of it, and they are in similar situations that you are in.
Yeah.
So it's not just coming from a salesperson's perspective. Like, y'all need to do something about this, man. It's real.
Right.
Stress, one of the things that I think is profoundly ridiculous is if we don't address the stress of people with guns in their hands, you cause problems for yourself.
Well, I mean,
dangerous.
Yeah, I know Arlington's whole peer sport team because we talk to them a lot. We trade a lot of information because,
Is that right?
like I said, I'm a buffet style guy. If I realize they've got a better cake than I do, I'm going to go steal the recipe and drag it over here.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I mean, I'm wearing a bulletproof vest now. I've got all my tools in my belt. And I said, I'm a desk guy. And it's funny how I feel uncomfortable. If you made me wear my uniform without a vest on, man, I've been here 30 years, but it would feel really uncomfortable to the point of being distracting. And so I challenge guys, even when I teach my classes, to look at what I'm wearing and go, okay, this protects against bullets. This allows me to defend myself, things like that. But what do I have that deals with my mental health?
Right.
Or my emotional health? What do I have for that you can see? And it's like, man, that's really it's a challenge to see it, but it's also a stealable, talent. Whatever else is doing, let's just steal it and share it to everybody else. So Michael told us about the chi swing or whatever we want to call it. We had one the next day. And what I've been trying to do, like this buffet style thing, is like maybe I go to a different buffet tomorrow. And man, the last one I went to had pudding. This one doesn't have pudding. Well, I could choose to just be mad about not having pudding. I could go to a different store, or I could go, okay, let's see if I can make it happen. And so we usually about once a year, once a quarter or so, all these sort of peer support team leaders, and I usually call the meeting, all come together. And the idea is, let's see what you can steal. And even down to hey, you've got a cool lanyard. One of them has these from NAMI. That's a little talk to me sticker that we're gonna put that on everybody's desk for peer support. It's like, that's cute. It costs like 8 cents. So I stole a bunch of them. And so that's kind of how we sort of steal the best ideas from each other. But I'm also a big fan of going, and this is going to use you guys as an example. All right, LaRocco's the Cadillac chair. That's what everybody wants, but everybody can't afford it. It's like, okay, well, you don't just forget that it's out there. Work on how am I going to make it happen? Because in law enforcement, like for us, we went to our community and said, hey, will you guys help us? And we found a lot of folks in Garland that were like, hey, I want to help you, but all I make is, I don't make, chairs or equipment, but I donate money. And that was what Skylar's genius was. Like, okay, we went to a recycling place and a company that supplies power through Encore to the city. They don't sell us, they can't sell us any product at all. What they can do is jump on board, hey, we'll support part of this. Throw money in the mix. And what I loved the most about it, probably to me, the most important thing for our war room is there's a shield in the back of the room that has all of our supporters in it. When you go to the room, the one that I talked to the guys most about, the folks who are on that shield, who donated money, donated time, donated ideas, and they're still looking for ideas now. Like I said, Michael, we stole an idea from you. If somebody tells me tomorrow that free bologna sandwiches is a great thing and you can white paper it, then I'm going to find me a vendor that makes free bologna sandwiches. Because I'm trying to add stuff to the room. But what I got out of it was those people on the shield will never be in the room. It is the weirdest community thing for me. And I inverted that to tell my guys that, hey, when you go in this room, look at the shield and see that this community group and this supporter and this commercial group, they gave you stuff for a room they'll never see. I mean, they can see it, but they're not ever going to use it, which means this isn't a transaction. This isn't hey, I'll give you a cup of coffee if you drink it in my store. So I sort of get security for a cup of coffee. That's a transaction. What we're talking about is a community support. Folks are giving us equipment that they'll never see because they love our police officers. They love the police department. And to me, it's one of those really neat reminders when you walk in there that here's all the stuff to play with. Here's all the cool toys. And right behind me is a shield that reminds me every day that my community supports me. Support me for what I'm giving them. They support me for what I'm doing. So,
well, I don't know whether or not it's standard in municipalities to have a budget to address that aspect of what needs to be addressed, but it needs to become standard
Yeah.
It needs to become standard. One of the things that I'll make myself available for anything, if I can serve in any capacity to assist with what you need to get done.
Okay.
The doctor is a good friend of mine. He's more than willing to help as well. But ultimately, one of the things that I visualize is seeing it come to pass that as we move into other spaces, and people become consciously aware of the necessity to address this demand, that people with expertise like yourself and like the doctor can speak to that audience and can corral the support needed to implement a solution from one location to the next, saying, we all won. We all won. So we need to be helping each other, help one another, right? So I see this as a foundation for being able to start making that happen. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you taking the time out, having this conversation with us. Sincerely.
Well, and like I said, I'm so glad Michael gave the time to our guys, because they came back with, because I think they probably badmouthed me a little bit. Because I think they had like a top 10 list or something that you gave them of things that had been effective.
Yeah, yeah,
And-
he did give a list.
And they said, yeah, Captain McCully doesn't like that one. Captain McCully doesn't like that one. And it's like, Captain McCully's not the supreme arbiter of these things, but it is sort of the weird thing of, like I said, I'm a big buffet style guy. So if you like it, we're going to do it. If you don't, we won't. And I've talked to a bunch of people in the area that have done some of them are pretty clean. Like you definitely could see that's an off the shelf. Hey, you go to a self-help section in a bookstore, it says do that. Then other guys are coming up with just stuff that's way out there that still seems to work really well. And so, my big belief has been, whatever you're going to do, that's what we're going to try. And, we've had folks who are doing equine therapy. So if you love horses, it works like a charm. If you don't, and I can't quite convince, then maybe not. If you want to do wind therapy on motorcycles, I'll do that. If you want to go out and do boat stuff and go fishing, I can do that. And it's been my big challenge. Everybody's going to find something I can't do. And then I'll either one, I'll tell you it's stupid if it's really like, incredibly bad, which is, there's not really bad ideas other than like methamphetamine or something like that. But, if it's a healthy way and you can sort of white paper it out, then we'll support it. Because one of our counselors tried this, and I'm not knocking her, but she made an attempt at, hey, lavender. That's a cool calming scent. We're doing lavender. And I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. We are kind of a male dominated profession. So that's sort of an oopsie there. Well, when I was at an event that Dr. T hosted at first, I met a guy doing aromatherapy. And so he had a little oxygen bar thing set up, and we were talking about scents. And just on a weird coincidence, his PhD is in aromatherapy. And so I went up to him going, okay, dude, you must be the lavender guy, the lavender king. So tell me what the real deal is. And he had lavender, vanilla, and peppermint. Those are the scents he's running with oxygen. It's an oxygen bar. And I was like, all right, well, give me the white paper. What's lavender doing? He's like, well, for a lot of people, it's nostalgic. It may remind them of, better times. Vanilla does the same thing, warm bread, cookies, whatever. It's like, that's kind of neat. But police officers, we've been to a lot of homes where people have passed away. And so while I have fond memories of my grandmother and lavender, I've also been to a bunch of houses with dead bodies and lavender. So you run the risk of them crossing over really fast.
Right. You have an engram.
Yeah. And so it was like, so that's a tough one for me. And smell is really challenging. But and we went to vanilla, he said the same thing, until he gets peppermint. And that's where he gave me the peppermints, which I have some here. I've got a spearmint thing on my desk. Because it's a vasodilator, it makes it easier to breathe out right. And so pure mints, they're in the sort of poison ivy family. It makes it easier to breathe, just outright. So he said that's why they're refreshing during Christmas time with candy canes. But he said beyond that, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, it actually does something anyway. And so I was like, okay, so I can skip placebo, I can go to a real effect. And I throw peppermint around, and it don't have to really run the risk of, if Robert likes lavender or Michael doesn't, I lose, because now I'm basically going to discount somebody else. Like, but if I get to the mints, especially low level, so then somebody said, okay, cool, we're doing mint everywhere. So all of a sudden we're smearing mint oil on everybody, or they're trying to. I was like, yeah, but it's related to poison ivy, so it's going to make your skin swell up if you're allergic to it. So, well, we hate that. It's like, well, you're doing it wrong. But I've been to several classes where guys will say, you know what I like? I like fresh cut citrus.
Yeah.
Cut me an orange. I was like, man, that's cool. Tell me the white paper. Tell me why. Because cops are a weird audience. Every once in a while we'll go, I hate oranges because I went to a dead body or went to some call where, one of my worst calls when I was a kid is a rookie officer. A kid threw a boiling pan of hot water at his mom on Mother's Day because he was trying to make breakfast and he was doing it poorly. And so he scalded his mom. It's like, so I'm not a big fan of the Mother's Day breakfast. So cops have this sort of weird, you bring baggage with you from just weird calls.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes me super sensitive to going, all right, what do colors do? What does sound do? What does, smells do? All those can be good. They can be bad. And for the war room, I've really pushed back on smells because smells are hard to get rid of.
Mm.
Like I can't, like a light switch, I can turn on and off. A machine I can turn, but lavender, I can't really turn it off.
Right.
And so it's made us a little bit sensitive to how do you make it work, combined with you give me a universally thing, put it on Mike's list that it's the top 10, then we're going to grab it.
Mm.
And it was interesting with Skylar. He's like, whatever's on your top 10 list, we're buying, no matter what.
Mm.
And that's why I was like, I asked a while back, I need to meet Dr. Olpin because I just need a cool top 10 list, because when I first started doing this, I could throw a stick and find people that hated cops, that doesn't want to help us. Then somehow the last couple of years it's changed where everybody wants to help cops.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of them are driven by culturally competence, kind of the word we use for, do you know cops, do you know first responders? And a lot of people don't. And so a lot of people that really are well-meaning, want to help, don't quite have an insight of what we're doing. And one of our folks said, I'm going to tell jokes. And so she was going to bring out, best way I can say, a whole bunch of dad jokes. Cops. And they were like the cops eating donuts and things like that. It's like, man, those are really funny if you're a civilian. They're not so funny when you're not. And they're only really funny if we say it to each other. And so it was a challenge for her. She's like, well, why is everybody mad? Like, they're not mad, but you told them
it's not rubbing them the right way.
Yeah. And so now you got to dig out of that. And so there's a whole lot of people that have good intentions that sort of go the wrong way. And weirdly enough, you get judged for that. So, but no, I'm glad to kind of connect with you guys. Like I said, we love y'all's product. It is killing me because I've had to dumb down everything in the room to almost everything in the room is you push a button. That's it. Now, I think I'm the only guy who's unlocked the Laraco chair to hyper-personalized settings because I'm kind of a nerd about that. But most of the guys are like, no, I hit the button. It's like, well, cool. What setting is it on? I hit the button, I hit it again. And then when it stops, it literally tells me session over. So I stop. It's like, so how long are you in the chair? I don't know. Are you in there for 30 minutes, an hour? I was like, well, I don't know. It is the most amazing thing to watch, guys. Now, I will say this. We're getting used to it. The chair is such an effective tool. One of the settings is sort of the body stretch setting where it extends everything. One of my best friends, he was kind of facing retirement just because he's struggling to move, and every day he's been using that every morning.
Really?
Kind of offset surgery or traction or whatever he's got. He said it's been a game changer for him.
Really?
However, you scared the tar out of him the first time it happened. Because he says, I'm locked into it. All of a sudden, everything's sort of stretching out. And I'm getting really tall, which really felt good on his back. But he's going, all right, at some point, we'll have gone far enough. He said mentally, it's like, okay, this is about as far as I can go. Uh-oh, and I'm still going. And it was funny watching him just immediately freak out.
Well, good doctor. Appreciate you. Michael, Olpin, is there something you want to say before we close out?
Nope, it's been my hugest pleasure meeting you and learning. I actually want to I hope you're okay. I recorded this.
Yeah.
Because I want to just listen to what you said. You talk pretty fast, and I was trying to take notes. No, that's okay. I like that. And so I plan to review this because I was thinking that's something I should be connected to, and that's something I should be connected to, and all of those great things that you've done in preparation for your war room. Fantastic. I applaud your diligence in this.
Michael, where are you actually at? I don't know that.
I'm in northern Utah, just a little bit north of Salt Lake, in a town called Ogden.
Okay. I don't know what's that. No, I may try to find a trip out there and visit your place one of these times. That sounds kind of neat because so all my background is through UT Dallas, and they have a good psych program, but they haven't quite drifted into this space very much. And I've been pushing them a lot, going, hey, this is an area y'all need to go after because just from a research standpoint, it has huge impacts, knowing that a lot of us will move pretty quick. On the police officer standpoint, we are some of the most, this is a weird thing, but a lot of guys don't wear wedding rings. Any idea why we don't wear wedding rings?
No,
it's not so we can pick up girls. Because somewhere in the history of police officers, there have been officers that have caught their ring in a door, like a bag shuts the door and drags you up the street. The number of times that's happened, 2. But what happens is we respond really well to high impact, low frequency issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is like, well, that's really neat on the physical standpoint. You know, we've got officers that keep a handcuff key on the back of your belt.
Mm.
I used to have one duct taped or black. My current belt doesn't, but it was held on with electrical tape on the inside of my belt.
Mm.
The theory was when we were rookies, yeah, what if somebody gets a jump on you and you have to surrender? And they take you and they handcuff you behind your back. That way you can get out of the handcuffs when you get, handcuffed with your own handcuffs. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's happened. It's happened probably somewhere. But for us, it was like, okay, that's a high impact, low frequency event.
Mm.
I can solve it with 4 cents worth of duct tape and an extra handcuff key.
Mm-hmm.
So it amazes me how resilient police officers are to solve things if they know it works.
Mm-hmm. Is there a possibility of us implementing a stress relief center at UTA?
Definitely UTA or UTA, it definitely be possible. I've been talking to them about some other projects. I haven't talked about this specifically, but I intend to bring it up.
Okay.
Because I think that would be a really neat idea.
I would love to be a part of that conversation. And I'm quite sure the doctor would as well.
Well, if you got Arlington PD on board, I'm going to slide to them sideways as soon as we're done and let them know I talked to you guys because I know their entire program team as well.
Okay.
And so they're sort of them and Irving PD are sister cities of ours.
Really?
Same size, same kind of issues. We're a little bit competitive. And so they're mad at me about the war room.
Yeah, I've heard them they didn't badmouth you, but they talked about your progressiveness of the city of Garland being a lot more progressive than Arlington.
Well,
so they hate
our chiefs are competitive, all the captains are competitive. So it's a friendly rivalry, but none of us want to be shown up by somebody else.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
So yeah, let's keep this conversation going. I've got to get something blessed by my chief, but one of the things I've been talking about is wrapping up our war room as a white paper. And so my plan is
I love that idea. I love that idea.
I've got to get by the chief, and because to some extent this is a political decision of our commitment to it sounds really cool, but I want to make sure I'm speaking with the voice he wants it to be said with.
Right.
I actually may bounce it to y'all for a little because you guys are on that's what's the outside, but you're a different audience than the guys that work here. So I wouldn't mind giving it to y'all if you wouldn't mind taking a read. Let me know what you think about it.
Okay, I'm up for it.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you guys very much.
Sir. Thank you.
Too.
I'll let you later.
Take care, guys.
Bye.